2011 wasn't supposed to belong to Dirk Nowitzki, but somehow it does.
One of the great shooters in Nowitzki. Shot closer, and Nowitzki's a closer for Dallas. Matchup. The old veterans in Dallas, but this up-and-coming seven-footer of all time. Oh, what a play! Puts it up. Dallas was in lockdown and continues. You can certainly call as we Dirk Nowitzki. The finals. The Dallas Mavericks are going back.
The Mavericks, a team everyone wrote off, are just 48 minutes away from tearing down the most feared creation in modern basketball, Miami's newly formed Big Three. LBJ, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. The trio built to take over the league. The trio everyone believed was unbeatable. The trio expected to turn the finals into a coronation. Miami has the star power, the spotlight, the pressure. But Dallas has something Miami never prepared for, Dirk turning into a full-on monster, the version fans call Dirkules.
Dirk Nowitzki from downtown.
He's unbothered and plays like a man who refuses to be denied. So how did Dirk Nowitzki push the NBA's most dangerous powerhouse to the edge of collapse? Before the 2011 finals even tipped off, everyone acted like the ending was already written. Miami was supposed to roll through Dallas without breaking a sweat. They had the talent, the spotlight, and the kind of momentum that felt engineered in a laboratory. LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, a trio built to dominate the next decade. Analysts called them inevitable, fans called them unbeatable, and honestly, the league treated the finals like a coronation instead of a contest. But then you looked at Dallas and the picture didn't match the predictions. They weren't loud, they weren't flashy. They didn't have the star power or the headlines. What they did have was something far more dangerous, experience hardened by disappointment. A roster shaped by scars, not hype, and from the opening minutes of Game 1, you could feel that the Mavericks weren't stepping into the spotlight as victims. They were stepping in as challengers who'd been waiting 5 years for this exact moment. Watch their faces in those first possessions. No nerves, no panic, no awe. Just calm focus. A team that had been doubted, dismissed, and laughed at, now staring down the NBA's new empire without blinking. Miami played with pressure. Dallas played with purpose. And slowly, almost quietly, the dynamic began to shift. The Heat expected a mismatch. The Mavericks expected a battle. And the longer the game went on, the clearer it became. Dallas wasn't here to survive. They were here to match Miami punch for punch. The finals everyone predicted would be simple suddenly didn't feel simple at all. The league called Miami unstoppable, but Dallas saw something different. They saw an opportunity, one the world didn't recognize yet. To understand why Dallas refused to back down in 2011, you have to look at the wound that never fully closed. The 2006 finals weren't just a defeat. They were a collapse that lived under the Mavericks' skin for years. Dallas had been right there, 2 wins away. Dirk was ascending. The franchise felt ready to finally touch the top. And then a young Dwayne Wade turned into a force of nature. He tore through Dallas possession after possession, dragging Miami back from a 0-2 hole and snatching the championship right out of their hands. It wasn't the loss that haunted Dallas, it was how helpless they looked. Critics questioned their toughness. Commentators questioned Dirk's leadership, and Dallas walked away with the weight of a heartbreak the league refused to let them forget. Dirk carried that weight longer than anyone. He heard every insult, every joke, every whisper about being too soft or not built for the big moments. But instead of firing back, he absorbed it. He transformed it. He turned humiliation into fuel, and over the next 5 years, that fuel hardened him in ways Miami never accounted for. So when 2011 arrived, Dallas wasn't chasing a championship. They were chasing redemption. And there was the twist. Fate brought Wade back into Dirk's path. Only this time, Wade didn't arrive alone. He brought LeBron James, the superstar expected to dominate the league for the next decade. For most teams, that would spark fear. For Dallas, it sparked clarity. Dirk wasn't the same player who walked away broken in 2006. He was sharper, tougher, colder. Every mistake, every disappointment had carved him into the monster Miami never prepared for. When the ball went up in 2011, Dallas wasn't running from their past. They were walking straight into it, ready to flip the entire script. After the collapse of 2006, Dirk didn't disappear into bitterness. He went the opposite direction, inward, focused, determined. He rebuilt his game piece by piece. Better footwork, better conditioning, better balance. By 2007, he wasn't just an all-star, he was the MVP of the league. Dallas had the best record in basketball, and it felt like the Mavericks were finally ready to erase the sting of that collapse. And then, everything came crashing down. The We Believe Warriors walked into the playoffs as an 8 seed and punched Dallas in the mouth. They were faster, hungrier, and completely unafraid. The Mavericks unraveled, Dirk struggled. And then came one of the most brutal visuals of his career, accepting the MVP trophy after being eliminated. The league didn't sympathize, it mocked. The jokes were everywhere. Dirk can't close. Dallas folds when it counts. European players aren't built for pressure. It wasn't criticism, it was ridicule. But Dirk didn't fire back. He didn't demand trades. He didn't point fingers. He went silent. The kind of silence that only dangerous people sit in. Year after year, Dallas kept hitting walls in the playoffs. First-round exits, tough matchups, missed chances. Each one felt like another reason for the outside world to doubt him. But while everyone else laughed, Dirk hardened. Each failure sharpened his focus. Each collapse added to his fuel. Each insult thickened his skin. And slowly, without fanfare, he turned into something the league didn't recognize yet. A superstar who had learned how to survive disappointment without breaking. By 2011, the old version of Dirk was gone. No hesitation, no softness, no doubt. What walked into the finals that year wasn't a talented scorer, it was a fully formed problem Miami never wanted to face. By the summer of 2010, two franchises were shaping their futures in completely different ways. Miami decided to flip the league upside down in one offseason. They brought in LeBron James, the most gifted player on the planet. They added Chris Bosh, a versatile all-star who could stretch the floor, and they already had Dwayne Wade, the same man who shattered Dallas' hopes in 2006. The moment those three linked up, everyone said the same thing. This is the next dynasty. Miami became the center of the basketball universe before they played a single possession together. Dallas didn't make noise. Dallas didn't need noise. Instead of chasing every superstar on the market, the Mavericks built with intention. They weren't hunting headlines, they were hunting balance. They added Tyson Chandler, a move that didn't dominate discussions but quietly changed the entire identity of the franchise. They didn't need him to score, they needed him to anchor the defense, control the paint, and bring a toughness the Mavericks had been missing. Jason Kidd provided leadership. Sean Marion provided versatility. Jason Terry provided scoring and swagger. JJ Barea provided energy and chaos off the bench. Nothing about this roster screamed super team. Everything about it screamed dangerous if you underestimate us. While Miami soaked in the spotlight, Dallas worked in silence. While the Heat prepared for a future built on star power, the Mavericks focused on chemistry, experience, and roles that fit perfectly around Dirk's game. The two franchises were moving in opposite directions, one chasing power, the other chasing purpose. But the irony? Both paths were pointing to the same direction. Two teams built in completely different worlds, two visions of how to win in the NBA, and somehow, both were on a collision course with destiny. The league expected Miami's way to triumph. Dallas planned to prove otherwise. As the 2010-2011 season unfolded, Miami looked exactly like the force everyone predicted. When LeBron, Wade, and Bosh clicked, teams had no answer. Their speed overwhelmed defenses. Their athleticism shattered game plans. Their runs came in tidal waves, sudden, violent, unstoppable. Every highlight made the league more convinced that the finals were Miami's to lose, and by the time the playoffs arrived, the Heat weren't just confident, they were terrifying. But while Miami captured headlines, Dallas was building something the league wasn't paying attention to. They weren't trying to impress, they were trying to win. Their offense was clean, their rotations were sharp, their confidence came from repetition, not noise, and at the center of it all was Dirk, playing like a man who had finally found the perfect balance between patience and punishment. Every fadeaway looked smooth, every big shot looked routine. His calmness spread through the roster like oxygen. Miami entered the postseason with swagger. Dallas entered with certainty. The Heat battled through Philadelphia, then survived the war against Boston. That series forged their identity, talent mixed with desperation. Then came Chicago, the top seed. Miami beat them, sealing their ticket to the finals and validating the super team experiment. Dallas took a different road. They outplayed Portland. They shocked the defending champion Lakers with a clean sweep, a moment that made the league gasp. Then they outlasted Oklahoma City.
You look at the first two games, Oklahoma City got whatever they wanted. First quarter, Oklahoma City minutes away from tying the series. Nowitzki, Dallas still fighting back, falling away. Oh, he puts it in.
A young powerhouse with Durant, Westbrook, and Harden rising fast. With every round, Dallas didn't just advance, they elevated. By the time both teams reached the finals, Miami had the hype, Miami had the stars, Miami had the momentum, but Dallas had the dangerous kind of confidence, the kind built through scars, not spotlight. The Heat entered the finals expecting to impose their will. They didn't realize Dallas had been forged in fire long before this moment arrived. When Game 1 tipped off in Miami, the arena felt like it was preparing for a celebration instead of a battle. The Heat crowd buzzed with confidence. This was supposed to be the beginning of the dynasty, the moment Miami announced themselves as the new rulers of the league. And early on, the game looked exactly like the way the city imagined it. Miami's defense swarmed, their speed overwhelmed. Their energy crackled through the building. LeBron and Wade attacked the rim with force, pushing Dallas back on its heels. Every block, every dunk, every fast break felt like a warning. You can't keep up with us. Even when Dirk hit tough shots, the Heat pressured him on every catch. Dallas looked steady, but the game looked tilted. And by halftime, the narrative was already forming. The super team was in control. In the second half, Miami tightened the screws even more. Their rotations were crisp, their pace was relentless. And the highlight moment came when LeBron drilled a deep jumper at the third quarter buzzer, sending the crowd into a frenzy. Analysts echoed the same thought. Miami is too explosive for Dallas. And honestly, it felt true. Miami closed the game strong and took a comfortable victory. But beneath the celebration, something subtle and dangerous was happening. Dallas wasn't rattled. They weren't confused. They weren't discouraged. They learned. They saw how Miami reacted under pressure. They saw openings in the Heat's half-court offense. They saw that even on a night Dirk wasn't fully unleashed, Miami still struggled to create separation without transition. Game 1 gave the Heat confidence, but it gave Dallas a roadmap. Miami left the court believing they were in control. Dallas walked away seeing through the mirage, realizing the finals might not be the runway everyone expected. Game 2 began exactly the same way Miami wanted. Wade came out aggressive, hitting tough pull-ups and exploding to the rim. The Heat played loose, confident, almost comfortable, like they believed Dallas simply couldn't keep up for 4 quarters. Every Miami run felt like another step toward a 2-0 stranglehold on the series. And for a long stretch, the scoreboard reflected that confidence. But look closely at Dallas. No panic, no rushing, no frustration. The Mavericks stayed calm, grinding out possessions, trusting their spacing and ball movement. Jason Terry knocked down rhythm jumpers. Sean Marion attacked mismatches. Dirk found soft spots in the defense and quietly kept Dallas within striking distance. The Heat kept pushing, but the Mavericks refused to crack. Then came the moment. 7 minutes left. Miami up 15. The arena was ready to explode, already tasting a commanding series lead. For most teams, that's where the game ends. But Dallas had been hardened by too many collapses to fold now. Something shifted. Miami's offense slowed. Their decision-making tightened. Their rhythm vanished. And Dallas sensed an opening. Suddenly, the Mavericks began stringing together stops and scores. Three-pointers, drives, hustle plays, a wave of perfect execution that stunned the entire building. The 15-point lead disappeared like smoke. Then Dirk took over. With under 30 seconds left, he drove left with his injured hand and tied the game. Chalmers answered with a big three, but Dirk wasn't done. He took the ball at the top, no hesitation, and sliced straight to the rim for the go-ahead layup. Miami's crowd froze. Dallas' bench erupted. The series shifted. The Mavericks didn't just steal Game 2, they exposed something Miami didn't want anyone to see. The Heat could be pushed. The Heat could be rattled. The Heat could be beaten. Game 3 opened with Miami reclaiming the energy they lost in Game 2. Wade and LeBron attacked early, pushing the tempo and asserting their athleticism. The Heat looked sharp again, fast in transition, aggressive on defense, confident in their spacing. For long stretches, they held control of the scoreboard, and the building felt alive with the belief that Miami was back on track. But Dallas refused to break. Every time Miami created separation, the Mavericks calmly answered. Sean Marion played with relentless intensity, cutting through gaps and finishing tough plays. Tyson Chandler battled for every rebound, every loose ball, every inch of the paint. Jason Terry stepped into big shots without blinking, and Dirk, he kept hitting difficult jumpers, each one a reminder that Miami hadn't solved anything. Still, Miami escaped with a win. Chris Bosh drilled the biggest shot of the night, a deep jumper in the final minute that broke a tie and gave Miami just enough breathing room to secure Game 3. When Dirk's last fadeaway missed at the buzzer, Miami exhaled with relief. But it was a relief, not confidence, because something was different now. Even in victory, the Heat didn't look comfortable. Their body language was tight, their offense was slowing down, and for the first time all series, LeBron looked unsure of his place in the moment. The spotlight wasn't energizing him, it was exposing him. Dallas saw it, the league saw it, and Miami felt it. Then came Game 4, where everything cracked open. Dirk played with a high fever, yet he battled through every possession. Miami had chances to take command, but their offense stalled. Their ball movement froze. LeBron finished with just 8 points, a shocking number for a player of his stature. And Dallas, they closed with poise. The series was tied, the pressure had flipped. And Miami's armor, the confidence, the swagger, the invincibility was starting to fracture. Game 5 in Dallas didn't start with a whistle. It started with a moment of arrogance. Before tip-off, cameras caught LBJ and Wade pretending to cough, mocking Dirk's fever from Game 4. It was meant to be a joke. Instead, it became gasoline. The Mavericks didn't react with trash talk. They didn't glare. They didn't even acknowledge it. They let the basketball speak for them. From the opening quarter, Dallas played with purpose, so sharp it felt personal. Ball movement sliced through Miami's defense. Jason Terry came out fearless, hitting jumper after jumper with a confidence that lit up the arena. J.J. Barea broke down the Heat's perimeter like they were standing in sand. And Dirk, calm, focused, and silently burning, punished every switch, every gap, every hesitation. Every shot he hit carried a message. Mock me if you want. You still have to stop me. Miami kept the game within reach with their star power. Wade hit tough mid-range shots. LeBron found Bosh for clean looks. But the Heat looked tense, almost rushed, as if they could feel the ground shifting under their feet. And in the fourth quarter, Dallas took complete control. Jason Terry unleashed one of the greatest shooting stretches of his career, burying contested threes that sent the home crowd into a roar. Barea kept carving his way into the paint. Dirk closed the game with cold precision, hitting the kind of shots that leave defenders staring at the floor. The Mavericks weren't reacting to disrespect. They were rising above it. When the buzzer sounded, Dallas led the series 3-2. The team the league dismissed now had one hand on the trophy. Miami wasn't facing an underdog anymore. They were facing a squad playing for something deeper than a ring. And suddenly, every bit of that pregame mockery felt like the moment the Heat poked a sleeping giant. Game 6 in Miami was supposed to be the moment the Heat reclaimed control. Back on their home floor, backs against the wall, the arena pulsing with desperation and belief. From the opening minutes, Miami came out swinging. LeBron attacked the rim. Wade pushed the pace. Bosh hit early jumpers. Every possession felt like the Heat were trying to punch their way out of trouble before it swallowed them. And for a while, it looked like they would. Dirk, the man who carried Dallas through the entire postseason, couldn't buy a basket. 1 for 12, missed fadeaways, missed drives, frustration written across his face. The Heat crowd smelled blood. This was the meltdown critics had predicted for years, but Dallas didn't flinch. They held the line because Jason Terry refused to let the season end. The Jet lit Miami up, threes, pull-ups, fearless drives to the rim. J.J. Barea kept slicing into Miami's defense. Tyson Chandler dominated the paint. Sean Marion brought relentless energy on both ends. The Mavericks didn't survive Dirk's cold start, they covered it. Then came the second half, and everything shifted. Dirk woke up, one jumper, then another, then another. Suddenly, the rhythm returned. The confidence returned. The monster Miami hoped they'd buried returned. The Heat threw every defender they had at him. LeBron, Haslam, Battier, and none of it mattered. Dirk elevated anyway, rising above contests like gravity didn't apply. Dallas built a 9-point lead entering the fourth, and from that moment on, the Heat looked broken. Their spacing collapsed. Their offense stalled. Their body language sagged. The Mavericks stayed poised, closing possession after possession with veteran precision. Then, in the final minute, Dirk drove left in the same direction he used to rip Miami apart in Game 2 and finished through contact. That was the dagger. Dallas didn't steal the 2011 championship. They claimed it with composure, toughness, and a superstar who refused to bend to pressure ever again. When the buzzer finally echoed through the arena, everything stopped. The crowd went silent. The Heat stood stunned. And Dirk, the same player critics once called too soft, too slow, too European to ever lead a team, walked off the floor as an NBA champion. Not because he was surrounded by superstars, not because he played for the flashiest franchise, but because he refused to break, no matter how many times the league tried to knock him down. Dallas didn't just beat Miami, they shattered the expectations built around them. They exposed pressure cracks no one thought the Heat had. They turned doubt into fuel and turned that fuel into a title. Dirk's one-legged fadeaway became more than a move, it became a symbol of resilience.
One of the great scores in the history of this game.
One of the most unguardable shots in the NBA.
There's Nowitzki.
One big shot to the cages.
Nowitzki against Wade. It's good! What a shot from Nowitzki! He shoots better off one leg than a lot of guys do off two.
The old Dirk Nowitzki step back off 1 foot. That's an impossible shot.
Here's Dirk. And there it is, off one leg.
You talk about guys that have changed the game.
He's Nowitzki off that back leg. One of the all-time greats, an NBA legend, Dirk Nowitzki.
His leadership became the blueprint for every underdog who wanted to believe they still had a chance. His playoff run became a measuring stick, one of the greatest we have ever seen. Dirk didn't just win the 2011 championship, he redefined what belief can do. If you enjoyed this, there are plenty more. Do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and tell a friend, and I'll see you in the next one.
Help change the game. One-legged fadeaway that so many are doing.
It's an honor for me that guys think that that's a shot that helps him.
The fadeaway. He dirked him off one leg, didn't he? And the Mavericks are going to win the championship. The arms up in the air. Here it is. He's done it.
It was a show of respect. Doug is one of my favorite guys. No, I took that from him. I don't do it as well as him, Doug. Been doing it way longer.
Legendary career. Today, we immortalize a game-changing champ. Size can have such a touch. A one-legged step back.
And Nowitzki has been doing that forever.
He's one of the most unique
offensive weapons to ever play this game.
Nowitzki 1 foot falling away.
Dirk Nowitzki really changed the power forward position.
So Nowitzki,
That makes me smile.
we are witnessing a man who really changed the game.
Just watching him. But you all know what a big fan I am with Dirk.
Players like Nowitzki or Kobe Bryant, and we almost start to take granted their excellence.
That makes me proud.
What he's doing is legendary stuff.
One of the greatest players that ever played this game.